Hi, Andrea. How are you?
I'm good, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me. A little backstory is you and I met at the Ultimate Product Party, and we tried to do this interview when I was up north filming for my other project, and it was Mercury retrograde. I don't know if you knew this,
I did
because
not.
Mercury retrograde affects.
I know what it is, but I didn't know. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
Well, I only because what could have gone wrong on that trip went wrong. And finally, when I asked Lisa, who you've worked with, that she is one who does all our digital marketing, she sent me this little clip, like, it's Mercury retrograde and it affects everything in communication. And it was like, it got to the point where everything that was happening, I finally just had to start laughing, because I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what? And you were part of that.
And now it makes sense. I didn't realize I'm moving in 100 million different ways, so I didn't even think about it. But yeah, it made total sense.
It's weird because I've always aware of it. I've never had it affect me. And that was definitely it was like comical at the point where like that happened. So thank you for rejoining and I can't even talk right now, but re-agreeing to come back onto the podcast so we can do this, because I think we only got like maybe 2 minutes into it, and then it was like, okay, this isn't gonna work.
No worries. I appreciate you inviting me and having me. So no worries.
I'm excited. I mean, when I met you, we were at a round table, and I had introduced myself, and you had told me what you were doing. And for one thing, it's like, I can't believe it didn't exist before. And two, I think it's so brilliant and amazing. So tell everyone about yourself and the product that you created in your company.
Sure. So my name is Andrea Lyons. I am the founder of ANNA+POOKIE Party Supplies, and we are a party supply brand that has party supplies that cater to children of color. I started the company about 4 years ago, after being frustrated with not finding party supplies that had Black and brown children on them. It started with, trying to help my sister find things for my nephew's birthday parties. And then when she had my niece, same story. We couldn't find anything. We went from store to store searching on the internet. And then fast forward to 6 years ago when I had my daughter, the same thing. There was nothing that had a princess on it or that had a ballerina on it that looked like her. And so instead of getting frustrated or reaching out to all these big brand companies, I said, why don't I do it? And so I started the company. I have no experience in party supplies or stationery, but I knew that there was a need. And I knew that if I was looking for it as a mom of a small child, I knew that there were other moms in similar situations who were looking for these party supplies. So I have a girl. So we started out with three things: ballerina, mermaid, and princess. And then, excuse me, and then the boy moms were looking at me like, what about the boys? And so earlier this spring, we launched a theme that focused on pirates for little boys. And then we introduced some superheroes that serve boys and girls. So it's been a fun experience. When I meet people like you all the time, like, I didn't even think that there weren't any out there for children of color. But, there are some things, but it's always the Black character maybe in the back, or, it's your typical Disney characters, but nothing. And it's only one Black princess, Tiana, for Disney. So it's not a lot of variety. So I've found a niche, and we've been going forward with it, just having a great time with it, because it is fun to see people say, oh, you're right, there aren't any.
I mean, I really cannot believe, it is shocking to me. Like, it's, and talk about like the biggest void in the industry. It's like, that is insane to me. And and that's why it's like, oh my God, I have to have you on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, you think about even Disney characters. Tiana is 16, 17, 18 years old at this point. The movie.
There's no others.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it, people kind of look at me strange when I say this, but if you watch the movie, for a large portion of the movie, she's a frog. She's not even a human the whole time. So we only get glimpses of it. And, and when we do, it's very quick. And it just, and like I said, they have those party supplies in the stores, but it's only so many times that you can do Tiana. if you want some variety. So yeah, we're here.
Wow. So like just a question for what were you getting for your kids and your sister's kids? Like what were
Very,
you using?
very generic, Mickey Mouse maybe, but very generic type things. We would go with a color theme versus a character theme. So things like that, we had to be very creative.
Yeah.
And occasionally we had to use party products that had only white characters on them, which is not a problem. And I say that to parents of children that aren't Black or brown. It's okay to use our party products too with your children, with your white Caucasian children.
Well,
Or
because
children.
they're friends. They're friends. I mean, their friends are Black and brown.
And that's the world we live in. Yes, exactly. And I've seen, it's starting to change where I do get, non-Black customers that buy the party supplies because they do want to show their children a well-represented world, a reality of what the world really is. So,
Yes.
but yeah, but a lot of generic things we would use and color themes.
So now my biggest question is, obviously you've never created this. So you have a marketing background though, like you're a pretty big heavy hitter. Tell us a little bit about what you created up to this, because it does go hand in hand with what you're doing, maybe not creating what you've made, but I think for sure the marketing end of it.
Sure. So I started out my career in traditional PR and it just kind of morphed into a background in marketing. I have done some pretty big programs. Some of my clients have been McDonald's was my client, Coke. I've done some work with them with Essence Festival, Centers for Disease Control. And so a lot of these corporations, I was responsible for helping them reach out to the African-American consumer market. So I know how they think. I'm a mom. I do a lot of anecdotal things. And so that helped prepare me for marketing my program. I mean, for marketing my brand and getting information out. So I have that background, but I will tell you, Michelle, it is a little different. I don't want to say a little, it's a lot different when you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, I bet.
And so it hasn't been as easy as it has been. And then I've been out of that particular arena for a little while, and social media has changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's made it a lot more accessible to get to reporters. I mean, because now you can just DM them, whereas before, and I'm going to age myself, we would fax and we would call them.
Fax. Hilarious.
Exactly. I can remember days standing in front of the fax machine, just faxing out press releases. But now, you can just DM them. And so that piece has gotten a lot easier, but it is a little different because I am so close to it. I have so much passion around it that it's just different marketing yourself versus marketing someone else. And marketing for some of those big brands, because they have a lot more brand recognition behind them. And so you don't have to sell as hard as I have to sell as a new startup business.
So how do you, so take me to when you decide to create this project and you're starting with 3 characters. Mm-hmm. Are you doing the artwork or are you?
No, I have wonderful graphic designers and illustrators that I work with, 2 primarily that I work with, and we collaborate. I sit down with them, via phone, Zoom, and we just kind of bounce off ideas. I tell them exactly what I'm looking for, the type of feel I want. I create mood boards. I create Pinterest boards for them to kind of just give them an idea of what I'm looking for. And they come back and they may have 3 or 4 options for me to choose from. And then we kind of pick and I kind of choose, I like this from this one. I like this from that one. And we kind of mesh them together and just kind of play with this. So I'm more the in my head creative person, but they are the actual technical people. I can't draw to save my life. You ought to see some of the stick characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I work with 2 very talented women that are both moms. So they definitely get it. And they've helped me a lot with coming up with these designs.
I see some of the stuff behind you. Do you have your first 3 designs you could show us?
I do.
Because we are also on YouTube. So for those of us who would like to see these, the video is on YouTube.
I don't think I have Mermaid here, but I do hear 2 of the first ones. And this is my gorgeous ballerina. And we used my daughter as a prototype, which
Uh,
I love because I sent the illustrator pictures of her and I said, let's use her. And she just simply adores that when she sees people with buying the plate. She's like, that's me.
I
And
love that one, the swan. It's
yes,
so
yeah,
beautiful.
they're beautiful designs. And that's right. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I tell people that all the time. They're just beautiful designs. My illustrators are awesome. I mean, very talented. And what I like and what we did is we played with hues of black skin. And so you may see this one's a little bit browner. And
Yeah.
then this one is a little lighter. So we play with that to give us a little variety too. And
I
then
love that because I think again, like if you're going to paint brush over like everybody's one color and they're not. I mean, and I love it also because it also covers brown, like Mexican. And I mean, I
exactly
think I
Indian,
love that. So
Indian, you know, yeah. So yeah, yeah. I thought about all of that because they don't have anything either.
no, yeah. I mean, when you really sit and think about like when you go through the store, it is all white kids, like, and it's like for
Yep.
the Indian
Yep.
kids and the
Yep.
Latinos, and I mean, gosh, like, and
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, with your different variances of brown,
Yeah.
it could go to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And just in the African American community, we are, I mean, every color. When I just look at my family, you know, I have some family members, my grandmother in particular, who was presenting, she could present as a white woman, you know, and she was Black. And then you have my grandfather and my father who were very dark, you know, proud men. And so, you know, it goes the gamut of color variations. And the same just in my house. I'm a brown, a bronzer brown, and my daughter's a darker brown. So it just everything. And I wanted everyone to feel like there was something for them and they didn't have to settle. And so as we grow, we'll expand it. We'll expand the hues and you know, we won't customize because that's kind of expensive, but we'll definitely make sure that we have different hues to represent so everyone feels included.
So now you've got your designs, and now so you obviously are bankrolling this yourself. And I know that what that feel like just from, I mean, I'm not manufacturing anything, but I know that paying for a side hustle, it's a true love of what, I mean, it's like you really have to be in it. Like
Yes,
you're
you're in it.
like, and you're producing so where do you start, like for somebody that's saying I want to do something like where do you start with production wise and finding, you've got the artist now, so where, I mean, production for the products?
Yeah, it was crazy, Michelle. I honestly, Google is your friend for anyone that is looking seriously, that is looking to start anything, research anything. And I Googled party supply manufacturers. And I started in the United States. And honestly, there was, I live in Georgia, outside of Atlanta, and there is a couple of manufacturers here, printers, I should say here, but they do printing for Walmart and, you know, Dollar Tree and things like that for their, and so they do thousands and thousands and thousands. And I couldn't afford that, to be honest with you. I needed to find someone that did small runs because we are bankrolling it. And I just didn't need 50,000 cups. So I found Aldi. If you're familiar with that, I found some manufacturers there and I spent a lot of nights just, I mean, because the time difference is 8, 9, 10-hour difference from here to China, and just texting back and forth until I found two that I really liked. They sent me samples of, you know, what their party supplies look like so I could look at the quality, because I'm very big on that. I'm big on how sturdy, because I don't want to buy a pack of $7 plates and have to double them up. So I wanted to make sure that they were thick enough. So those things like that. So we went back and forth. And to be honest with you, Michelle, I just trusted them. I put in the order after I got the samples, after they got the artwork. They sent me samples and I was like, they look great. They sent me samples of my actual products. And it was one of the most wonderful days of my life to actually get the samples, because I'm like, okay, now it's real. You know, my designs are on these pieces and it's a real business. And so I just kind of trusted them, because if you're working with a person in a whole nother country, there's a language barrier, there's the time barrier. And so I just trusted them, and they got me really great products. And so the first run was pre-COVID, so I had no issues. Since I've introduced the three new the three new things, of course, with COVID, it takes a little longer, but I just had to trust and just be resourceful. I always tell, younger people who I work with, and especially when I was in the corporate world, you have to be resourceful. You have everything at your fingertips. I mean, just on your phone alone.
Yeah.
And I just did a lot of research because there was nobody that I really even thought to reach out to. I reached out to a couple of folks on Etsy who I saw had businesses, but I can't come to find out they were just wholesaling other people's products. They weren't producing like I am actually producing my own product. So
Wow.
Yeah, I just had to trust it.
So are you doing, when you started this, were you still doing a day job? And
I still
then,
do a day job now.
so you're doing both, and you're spending nights, and talk about a labor of love, like
Yes.
sitting up at nights and doing this and then getting up and going to your main
Yes.
hustle in the day. Wow.
Yes, and I am a mother. I'm a wife. I have an older mom that I help with, and so I do a lot. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Like, it really, I mean, it is true, like the true entrepreneurial spirit of like really, starting something from the ground up, and a true labor of love. And it's amazing what the human can do when the human is really like focused and centered on what they want.
And I feel like I have definitely walked into my purpose.
Yeah.
Definitely having my daughter, I walked into that, but then just creating this company, I feel like I definitely walked into what I was supposed to do and why I'm supposed to be doing it. So yeah, it is a labor of love. I'm hopeful, and I hope my job is not watching, but I'm hopeful at some point to phase it out, because I do want this to be my full time. I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to do. I want to bring on some more staff, as the company grows, but eventually I do want this to be my full-time job. Absolutely.
So, you're bankrolling this, and, how do you, when you first decide what you're going to roll out, did you look at it budget wise and say, I want to at least start with this and this, and then, how did it start as far as what was offered in those groups? And then what do you offer now that's within the line?
Yeah, well, this is definitely bootstraps. I tried not to use savings. I funded the company with a credit card, to be honest with you. I got really creative, and thank God we have a low interest credit card. And I pretty much charged everything on that credit card. And the same with the introducing the new products. We've just been bankrolling it that way and paying it, as I get. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I've been doing it. I'm not ready to take out a loan, and I know that at some point I'm going to probably want to expand the business and just have cash flow, and especially as I'm talking about hiring people. But for right now, we're just bankrolling it that way.
So when you guys decided like this is what we're going to do, how do you decide you started with plates and cups. Have you expanded on other products? Because it looks like there's like a tablecloth behind you, or something.
It is a pillow.
Oh, okay. So tell me what did you start with as far as what was offered on the line in the beginning, and then what obviously you have a pillow now. So what else is offered within the characters of the line?
Sure. So we started out with just your traditional plates. The 9-inch plates, the 7-inch dessert plates, cups, and beverage napkins, or dessert dinner napkins, because they're bigger. And that was it. And then I started getting questions from people saying, it would be great if this was on a pillow or a bedspread or a t-shirt. And I'm like, oh. So honestly, I found drop ship companies. So because I couldn't afford to buy 100 of these. And I drop ship those. So now we have the onesies for babies, and they just have the characters, they have the characters on the front. We do sweatshirts and t-shirts. I want to do plushies at some point.
I love it.
In that, and just a lot of things I want to do. I want to go into bedding. That's something that I want to do next, but I need to sell more cups, plates, and napkins before my husband will let me do anything. And you say we, a lot of this wasn't we, a lot of this was me. And he kind of is going along with it because he's a supportive husband.
Yeah,
But
I got one of those myself. He's suddenly become the cameraman, the editor. I mean, he's also my contractor. And I said to him the other night, I'm like, I don't know if this is what you really thought you were signing up for. And you're a licensed contractor. And now I've got you filming and editing things for me, but he's really good at it. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
gosh, God love the husbands that support the wives. Cause I think that's also what you need as a female entrepreneur, is somebody, like whoever's in your household, that they're supporting you and cheering you on.
It definitely makes it easier for sure.
Tell me, tell me a little bit about okay, so I think I had asked you, are you being represented by any for wholesalers? Are you only doing this at retail, or are you going to expand and do wholesale? Because I can tell you right now, I'm sure there is a lot, if this is out there, there are a lot of companies that would love to rep you.
Yeah, so right now we are on fair, and I do wholesale. And I have a couple of clients that I do that are consignment. They're not ready right now or able to, shell out a lot of money to do wholesale. So we do consignment, and I'm okay with that with smaller shops. But I am on fair, and I have about 8, local small shops that buy from me there. And I am interested in going wholesale, definitely making it bigger and broader, because I do think that I know that it is a need, and I know when customers see my products, they will fall in love with them. So that's not the problem. I mean, there is a need, and we are filling that need, and they're beautiful products.
So since you're in Atlanta, then are you going to go to the Atlanta gift show?
I am not.
I would, if you can, if I would, I don't know how, because do you have a resale permit?
I do have a resale permit. It's only because of my schedule.
I think I wish you could go. I mean, it's open 5 days a week, so you can always go non-show. But I think though, for research, for you to find a rep group that, I'm totally going off on, but I think for you, like, to find a rep group that is best representative for your product, like to go and walk the showrooms, because I don't know if you've walked the showrooms in that building. I mean, the building's massive.
Yeah.
And there's tons of different, like there's showrooms that are just paper products, and they focus on little paper product lines or big or stationery and paper. And I mean, like you would be like, honestly, like I think you need to either do it as a temporary and show your stuff as a wholesaler yourself, or if you don't have enough on the line to have it go to a whole, because a lot of times they want you to have a bigger collection, but at least to go see what showrooms would be compatible with your product, because it's like getting it in a rep's hands, because most rep groups have national reps, so they take it out to stores all across the country. Because in fair, I love fair, but you get kind of lost in, like, there's you really have to use some keywords to be able to pull up some things. But I think though, the rep groups, I think that you would do amazing.
Thank you. But I want to do, my plan is, I think it's the February show. I definitely want to apply and see if I can get a space then. But I didn't know that I could have mine in other people's.
Yeah, it's the way, there's showrooms that are manufacturer showrooms. So say Mud Pie is one, and they have their own showroom. I mean, well, they're in another, I take that back. There are showrooms that only sell their own product.
Okay.
That's it. They don't. And then there's showrooms, like a lot of the people that I work for, that represent a lot of different lines. So, the showroom I'm in right now, we represent Jellycat and candles and personal care and baby wear, and we have a whole entire giant book room. So we represent like 7 different publishers. So it's all under one umbrella.
Okay.
But, you could go to a showroom that sells a lot of paper goods, cards, paper supplies, wrap, whatever. and they represent all these different paper groups. And
Okay.
you would be with them, but the beauty of it is because of their reps and how their outreach of reps and their connection with retailers, that they can pick up the phone and say, I have this amazing line. And then the people already know them. So they're like, yes, come in, show me. So
Okay.
it opens up their familiarity with retailers is so valuable. But I think though, if you didn't do that, do temps for sure. Cause I think that you would be, I mean, I just, like I said, I believe so much in your product, and because no one has anything like it and there's nothing out there, that it's like, I think as soon as people start seeing, and hopefully with retailers listening to this, like, I really think that people like are going to gravitate to it. Cause it's like, there's nothing, no one is doing this.
Okay. And it's interesting because Walmart just introduced a new line. And I follow the company on Instagram, and it is a unicorn with an afro. But
Ah,
again, but again, it goes back to what I was saying. Why does it have to be an animal? Why can't it be real people? We're real
yeah.
people, you know. So yeah. So yeah. And I'm just so passionate about it because, like I said, when I do pop-ups and fairs and things like that, to see kids walk up to me and like, or look at the product and like, oh my gosh, it's me, or it looks like me. There is no feeling like that to hear a child say that. So I know I'm doing the right thing. I just need to, like you said, I just need to get it in front of the right people or more people. So I will definitely look into the Mart here because it's right downtown.
Yes, ma'am. I will be there next week. So
Yeah, that's what I hate. Like I said, I have to go to DC next week for my daytime gig, and I'll be there for the whole week. And I'm like,
if I see any showrooms, like I'll definitely snap a shot of someone's business card while I'm there, because I'm gonna I'm only there for a day and a half, but I'm gonna try and walk as much because it's a massive show. It's really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
And it's the Atlanta, I always think, is like the best place for new lines to break out to, because it's a big show and it's not as expensive as trying to show it in New York now. And it's like, a
yes,
broad audience, which
yeah.
is really what you want. You have said you're in a groundbreaking role. And I love that your quote of working to ensure others see themselves in a positive and aspirational ways. And each of us have a role in empowering the voices that go unheard. Has that always been, that passion has always been with you? Because obviously with the line that you created, you are doing that, but you have also served on some nonprofit boards, correct? So tell
Yes.
me a little bit, where did this passion start?
I think growing up in the city that I grew up in, Atlanta, and seeing Black voices all the time and hearing Black voices all the time, and then having our native son, the birthplace of our native son, Martin Luther King, I think it was always in the background, but I think it was amplified even more when I had my daughter. And when I started to, think about what her future would look like, how would she see herself? And this is so, what I'm doing is so small, but, party supplies. But I think about the times in my childhood and what I'm trying to create for my child and her childhood. I want those moments to be times when I've celebrated her. And I look at when I was celebrated. And so, like I said, I think it's always been in the back of my mind, just my parents feeding positivity into me, and talking to me, and never feeling less than. And I think I've been blessed with that because, like I said, I grew up in a city where, we had a Black mayor when I was a kid, in a major metropolitan city. So I never had those type issues or challenges, but I've seen where a lot of my friends and colleagues did not grow up in diverse areas. And so seeing positive imagery or, of Black people, they didn't see it. And, and it was kind of hard for them to visualize it. And so I don't want kids on their birthday parties to not be able to visualize themselves being a princess, even though it's fairy tale and it's not true for any of us. but we still have a childhood and we still should have an opportunity to dream and to fantasize about those fairy tales until we have to deal with the real world. So I hope I answered your question. I know I went.
Yes, I love that. I mean, I think it's so important, and you know, the empowering the voices that go unheard is the, to me, what really strikes home. It's,
Yeah.
I think it's so important, and I wish more people did that and stood up. And I mean, I'm always the first one to say, like, you know, I believe like so much in giving back, and whether it's time or volunteering or you know, money or whatever it is. I just think it's so important, and you are really like embodying that, and I think it's so, I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I need
tell me,
more time in the day.
oh, of course. Tell me what how, okay, I always ask two, I'm going to step back for a second. I always ask a few questions always to my guest.
Okay.
One is because obviously you are very busy and you are wearing a lot of hats. Where do you find balance?
Gosh, that's a great question, because I don't know if I do find balance, to be honest with you. Especially right now, because I am focused on what I'm trying to do, and I have in my mind and on my wall where I want to go. So I don't have a lot of balance, to be honest with you. But when I do find those moments, I try to stop at the end of the day to have time for my daughter and my husband, to at least for us to sit and have dinner together and have a conversation, because we all are moving in 100 different places. But I need to do a better job, to be honest with you, Michelle, in finding balance, because it's just not possible for me right now, because I am a one-woman show. And so as I grow and I'm able, you know, to hire more people, I do, you know that I need to find that balance. But honestly, right now, I'm not doing a good job at it.
Well, I think that, you know, you like the dinner, I think is, I grew up, my mom was a single mom, and she worked all day, and like there was one rule in the house that we always had to have dinner together. And it was the time that we weren't allowed to sit in front of the TV and eat dinner.
Yep.
We sat at the table and we talked about our day and what we were doing. And of course, me as a kid, neither of us wanted to be there. But it's what's funny now is that, you know, that's, you know, I have a lot of times where I have no balance as well. And my one balance, I feel like, is making dinner with my husband, and we still sit down and have dinner every night together. We're not at a table. We do eat in front of the TV. I'm embarrassed to say, but
you're together.
Yeah. That to me has always been balance and family, and something that's been super important. So I guess you have a little bit of balance, but
just a little.
Where do you see your line in 10 years?
Gosh, in 10 years, I see my line, gosh, I don't want to focus on money, but
Yes, ma'am.
I see it as a multi-million-dollar business that has accessories, a series that focuses on one of our TV series that focuses on one of our characters. The sky is the limit. What I see, all the different places I can go. Party supplies will always be my baby, because that's where I started, and that's where, you know, I saw the need. But I just see so much for what it is this brand could be. So like I said, the sky's the limit, but definitely a multi-million-dollar business that has arms in entertainment, still in the stationery area. Yeah, I just,
well,
everywhere.
it's almost like then it becomes like, you know, instead of, it just kind of popped in my head, instead of it so much more focused on departmental, meaning, you know, party supplies, it almost seems like you're focusing more on the characters and the expansion of each character, the ballerina and what she does during the day, and what she like that keeps you broad and like it really becomes about the character.
So it becomes like a multimedia.
Yeah. based on the characters that you have created. What you introduced the 3 boys this year. What do you have coming up for? Are you doing holiday like fourth quarter, like Halloween and 'cause Halloween
Not,
so
not this year. Not this year. Budget doesn't allow that this
okay,
year.
so you've got are there 6 styles you have now?
8.
8 styles.
8. And we do have wrapping paper. And so I do have, this is a sneak peek.
That's fantastic.
I do have an elf that I'm working on.
Ah.
She's a little bit older, more like a teenager, but I'm looking to roll that one out. We did holiday wrap last year, and so I'll just continue to, focus on that. And then, like I said, we may roll out the elf this year.
Do the other characters, do they all have wrap as well that goes, so it's paper plates, paper cups, napkins, gift wrap. I love it.
Yep.
That is so, I am so excited. Please tell everybody where they can find you on social media and wherever else.
Sure. You can find me at www.annapookie.com. ANNAPOOKIE.com. And Michelle, you didn't ask the question that everybody asked me.
What?
Where does the name come from?
Where does the I'm so sorry. I should have. Where does the name come from? I think I assumed it was your daughter.
No, those are the childhood nicknames for my sister and I. And as I mentioned a little earlier in our conversation, birthdays were always big for us, not in the sense that they were these grand celebrations, but my mom, my grandmother, and my dad always made sure that we had cake and ice cream. And as we got older, that, we had sleepovers with our friends. And my mom just always made sure that we were celebrated on our birthdays. And so when I thought about what I wanted the company to be and what I wanted it to represent, I wanted to bring that feeling of when I felt celebrated in my life as a kid. And so I named it after my childhood name. So my older sister, her real name is Angelique, but we call her nickname is Anna. And then my dad gave me the name Pookie as my nickname.
Oh my God, that's the cutest name.
So he gave both of us those nicknames. And so, so I named the company after the 2 of us.
I love that. That's such a great story. How many years apart are you and your sister?
We're 4 years apart.
And how different are your birthdays? Are they close together? Are they
a week apart?
Wow. So it was like a week-long celebration.
Cake it's longer than that, because we go from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's to my sister's birthday is on January 8th, and then mine is on January 15th. So New Year is Christmas, New Year's, her birthday, and my birthday, 4-week window of partying.
You're so lucky that you had some separation between Christmas and yours, because my birthday is December 29th and mine did not get celebrated. Mine was always like, all your friends are on vacation from school. Like, we can't throw you a party because everyone's gone. And we just had Christmas.
Well, listen, this birthday, throw yourself a party with Anna+POOKIE Supplies. I'll send you some supplies and you sell.
I would love that. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I really honestly, like, for the retailers that are listening, I highly suggest that you look this up. I know when I had mentioned I was interviewing you, and I know when I talked to a couple people and told them that, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it, because they also sell party wear. And it's, again, it's something that doesn't exist, and it's so needed, and it's so damn cute. So congratulations, because I'm just excited to see where you go.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.